A homeless man helped a stranger on a cold, rainy night. He expected nothing in return. The next morning, he discovered the stranger was one of the most powerful CEOs in America. My name is Samuel Reed. For most of my life, I had a home, a family, a steady job. I wasn't rich, but I was happy. Then everything changed. When I was 42, the factory where I worked shut down. Thousands of employees lost their jobs overnight. At first, I wasn't worried. I thought I'd find another job quickly. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. My savings disappeared. Bills piled up. Eventually, I lost my apartment. I remember the day I handed over my keys. It felt like losing a part of myself. For the first time in my life, I was homeless. People think homelessness happens because people are lazy. Sometimes that's true. But often, it's just one bad chapter that spirals out of control. I slept in shelters when I could. On park benches when I couldn't. The hardest part wasn't being hungry. It wasn't being cold. It was becoming invisible. People stopped seeing me as a human being. They looked through me. Around me. Never at me. Years passed. Then came the night that changed everything. It was late November. The rain was falling hard. The streets of Chicago were nearly empty. I sat beneath a bus shelter trying to stay dry. My coat was soaked. My hands were freezing. That's when I noticed a black luxury car stopped on the side of the road. Its hazard lights flashed in the darkness. A man stepped out. He looked frustrated. After a few minutes, I realized his car wouldn't start. Cars rushed past him. Nobody stopped. Nobody cared. I watched for several minutes. Then I stood up and walked toward him. The man looked nervous when he saw me approaching. I understood why. To him, I was just another homeless stranger. Need help? I asked. He hesitated. Then nodded. Together, we pushed the car toward a safer area. The rain soaked us both. For nearly 30 minutes, we worked on the vehicle. Eventually, I noticed a loose battery connection. After tightening it, the engine finally started. The man's face lit up with relief. "Thank you," he said. I smiled. "No problem." He reached for his wallet. I shook my head. "Keep it." He looked surprised. "You don't want anything?" "No." He stared at me for a moment. Then asked a question nobody had asked me in years. "What's your name?" "Samuel." For the next few minutes, we talked. Really talked. Not as rich and poor. Not as strangers. Just two people. Before leaving, he handed me a business card. "If you're ever near downtown, come visit." I thanked him and slipped the card into my pocket. Honestly, I forgot about it. People make promises all the time. Most never keep them. The next morning, I stopped by a public library. I pulled the card from my pocket. Then I froze. The name printed on it was instantly recognizable. David Harrison. CEO of one of the largest technology companies in the country. I thought it had to be a joke. It wasn't. The photograph online matched perfectly. The man from the roadside was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. For a long time, I simply stared at the screen. I couldn't believe it. A week later, curiosity got the better of me. I traveled downtown and entered the company's headquarters. The lobby alone was larger than my old apartment building. The receptionist looked confused when I asked for David. But after making a phone call, her expression changed. A few minutes later, David himself appeared. Samuel, he said with a smile. He remembered my name. Nobody had called my name that warmly in years. We spent hours talking. He asked about my life, my struggles, my dreams. For the first time in a very long time, somebody listened. At the end of the meeting, he made an offer. A temporary maintenance position. Nothing fancy. Just a chance. I accepted immediately. That job became the first step toward rebuilding my life. I worked harder than I ever had before. I arrived early. Stayed late. Learned everything I could. Months passed. Then years. Promotions followed. Responsibilities grew. Slowly, my confidence returned. I rented an apartment. Then bought a car. Eventually, I became a facilities manager overseeing multiple locations. One evening, years later, I sat in David's office overlooking the city skyline. The same city where I had once slept on park benches. I thanked him for changing my life. David smiled. Then he said something I will never forget. No, Samuel. You changed your own life. I looked confused. He continued. That night, you had every reason to ignore me. Most people would have walked away. Instead, you chose kindness when you had nothing. I sat silently. He was right. The turning point wasn't the job. It wasn't the opportunity. It was the decision to help someone when I expected nothing in return. Because character is revealed when nobody is watching. And sometimes, a single act of kindness can change 2 lives instead of 1. Moral. Never underestimate the power of kindness. The smallest good deed can open doors you never imagined.